Okay, so now we're going to talk about call by reference. This is a very common parameter passing mechanism, and it's efficient in some ways because you're passing just a pointer. If it's more right now, our only arguments. The only kinds of structures that we have stored in memory are integers. But if you have large structures, once we had records and we had structs and classes and objects, once you have larger kinds of structures that you're storing in memory, then it becomes especially useful sometimes to just pass a pointer. So here's the rule for declaring a procedure which has call by reference semantics. Now, so if you look here on this line here, what we have is the code looks like this. That's the code that we're evaluating. And this var keyword before the parameter is indicating that this is call by reference. So this is telling us this is call by reference. In the call by value version, the syntax looks the same and the rule looks identical, except there is no var keyword. So the var keyword is sort of the trigger to tell us that this thing here was call by is intended to be called as a call by reference. For the call by value, there is no keyword, and I think for call by name, there's a name keyword in the declaration that tells us what the intention is. So what does the rule do? First, all the rules look the same. And so what does the rule do? The first thing you do is you go and you look up, no, you don't look up anything here. You take envp, which is this environment, and up here you take envp and you modify it so that p has bound to it the s, the statement, the body, x, the formal parameter, the environment that you currently have in the store, and the environment, the envp that you currently have. You evaluate the meaning of this s, you get back an envp prime, and then that's the result of this proc evaluation in Huddle's rules. In our version, in the code that I implemented, remember, all the environments are folded together. So it looks quite similar, except you don't have to store two things here, and you don't have to separate this out for the call to the evaluation of this. We just use the entire environment in our, what is this one? This is, oh, he's mislabeled this. That shouldn't be, oh, it is DP. I'm sorry. So though DP is the remaining procedure declarations that need to be evaluated. And so then when you evaluate those in this environment that knows, oh, P has body S, formal parameter X, and when you go to evaluate it, use ENVV and ENVP, and evaluate the rest of them now, by the way. And then you get back ENV prime, and that's what you return. So these look the same, actually, essentially, for all the different ones. The only thing that's could be different is whether or not this keyword here is there or not. If it's not, it's called by value, and if instead of var it says name, then it's called by name. So, and I say down here, the declaration forms for call by reference, call by value, call by name all look the same, And then I say modulo some syntax to differentiate the different parameter passing mechanisms to be used when the procedure is called. Okay. So all the work is really done. So this is the same for all of them, essentially. All the work that's really done is in the calling semantics. That's the thing that differentiates the style. So what we want to do in call by reference. So I'm saying call up this function P. Oh, and by the way, the argument is Y. And so Y, remember, is just a variable. And so what he's doing in the rest of this down here is, in a way, I think this part here should really just be ignored for now. That part is extraneous, and actually in the Haskell implementation, we don't have that part because, I'm sorry, we do have this part. I need to erase this one. We do have that because we need to get L. But we don't. This other part that I just highlighted in this darker orange is there essentially to keep track of is to adjust for the fact that he has kept the next available location in the store in the environment instead of the store. So that means we have to, when we're passing around these environments, we have to keep updating things. I don't know. It's a little bit annoying. So anyway, what's happening here? First, we take the procedure environment, envp, and we look up P, and then we get back S and X and the environment that was in place at the time P was declared for variables, and the procedure environment that was in place at the time that P was declared. And then what we do is we look up in this current environment, we use that, we look up, okay, hey, what's Y? And Y is going to be is going to map to a location in this thing. And so the simple thing that happens is what we do is we evaluate the body and we evaluate it in the current store, and we use the procedure environment that was in place at the time the procedure was declared, and we use the variable environment that was in place at the time that the procedure was declared. But now we point X, which was the formal parameter, to the location of the argument Y. So we point it to L. So let's see, what did I say here? Now, what's this orange part? The orange part is to, set L prime to be the next available location in store. And I shouldn't have said store prime there. I should have said store. So set L prime to be the next available location in store. And at the time of the call, because how do I know that? Well, because this code uses envv, and envv was the variable environment in place at the time that we saw the call. So envv, we take that and we look up next, and then that's going to return the next available location. And then what he does is he takes envv, first he updates it so that X points to whatever location Y pointed to, and then he adds in that next goes to L prime. And so that's a kind of a, if you want to kind of test yourself, here's a little quiz or, a problem for you to solve and to know if you really understand his rule and say, what would happen if you didn't do this? And then I think, if you can answer this question, then it's pretty clear that you understand even the bookkeeping part that he's doing here, or especially the bookkeeping. So in a way, I say here that I think that the choice of putting next in the variable environment was a design error, really. Makes things more complicated. Okay, so I will stop now and come back in just a minute to talk about call by value. And I should first say maybe the question here is essentially what happened, what bad thing can happen if this was your rule in Huddle's situation instead of this rule? And it's if you want to talk about it in the discussion, that might be a good topic for discussion. Okay, we'll talk about call by value next.